Roots to Wellbeing uses the 5 ways to wellbeing to support your mental health. Connect, take notice, keep learning, be active and give. Thanks for watching.
Hello, my name is Sara Louise Aston. I am an actress and comedian and I suffer from depression and anxiety. And I'm talking in a really annoying tone, so I'll bring that down. Yes, I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I have done, since I was about a teenager, I suppose, triggered from, I believe, an eating disorder I had when I was about 15. And it was about control. I wasn't in control with certain situations. I was out of my depth, and developing an eating disorder gave me that control, which triggered to depression, and then that triggered onto anxiety. And it's been really, really tough, really tough. I've had counselling over the years, CBT. I discovered, or I learned last year through a counsellor, I suffer from low self-esteem. Yes, which I was quite shocked, but not. And I was shocked because I try and tell myself I'm a great actress, I'm a great comedian, and it's just about, someone discovering me. And then there's another element. I'm a rubbish actress, I'm a rubbish comedian. Nobody will notice me. So it's almost like a split personality. Another thing I've wondered about myself, whether it's part of my mental, my mental illness, who knows? But I have to take each day as it comes. I'm not very good at planning things. That stresses me out. If I plan too many things, I get very, very overwhelmed. My husband sometimes says, "Oh, should we go away next weekend?" And can we see how we feel? I have to be in the right mood, which can affect a lot of things that I like to do. So I started to get into comedy properly when I was about 20, my late 20s, and I just come out of a relationship. I was in a really dark place actually, but then I put the light on. Sorry, that's really bad. It's my defense mechanism. I can't help it. I just come up with really terrible jokes. No wonder she's not a very good comedian, because she tells really rubbish jokes. It's my little outlet, and we're all allowed them, We're all allowed them. Anyway, going back to this comedy club scenario, I went to this comedy club on my own, sat in the audience, obviously, and it was a breath of fresh air, which is ironic because it was quite a dinky club. But it was a breath of fresh air, and I remember looking up at the comedian and then picking on me because I was giving them heckles, and all good, all in jest, all really nice ones. And it was just so nice to be part of something, to be accepted and to be enjoyed. And that may sound really corny, but it worked for me, and I kept going to these gigs, made friends, and that element of my life, looking back, was brilliant, despite the negative introduction to it. But I had to go through that to get to where I was in the comedy club. And then I've always written and I've always performed, but I guess writing comedy and performing it really triggered for me, really took off. When I was about 30, I suppose, I started doing one-woman shows, and because I'd been dumped so many times and I'd had awful relationships, I was just writing it all down. And I had these little sketches, like sets. So I put it in a one-woman show called Something About Sara. took that to Edinburgh. But then, Edinburgh, 2007, should have been the best summer of my life. And I was 10-15 minutes in a show and I collapsed on stage. I had a seizure. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was about 25, and that started because I had a seizure on stage when I was 24. I was performing with a children's theatre company and I'd had this seizure. Cut a long story short, had various tests, and yeah, it was epilepsy. After that diagnosis, I started to panic. My anxiety kicked in and I was always worried I was going to have a seizure on stage. So not only was I epileptic, but my anxiety was also kicking in really, really intensely. And that has been my barrier when I've done gigs, even very recently, prior to lockdown. And sometimes I cancel them. I work myself up. I tell myself, no, I'm going to have a seizure, blah, blah, blah. I'll cancel the gig. So going back to Edinburgh 2007, I had some sort of seizure. And I think it was a combination of anxiety and whatever goes on with my temporal lobe epilepsy. But it knocked me for 6, confidently wise. Confidently wise? Anyway, regarding my confidence, it knocked me for 6. And I didn't want to perform again. No, didn't want to perform. Not live anyway. So I tried to do, make sort of short films. I made this sitcom called Acting the Fool. Entered that into a competition. It didn't even come anywhere near far. But it was a nice outlet. It was fun to do. And and it gave me something to be proud of, even though it didn't do well. But that's just the way life is in this industry, unfortunately. It's tough. It's so tough. And you can understand why people do get depressed and why they do get anxious. Because that's why I think it's so important in this industry. I mean, I've got friends who are doing so well and I'm so proud of them. But Sara 10 years ago would be jealous, would be envious. Don't get me wrong, I'm a little bit jealous. But how amazing, how inspirational that is. I think, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And I think we need to be there for each other. We need to support each other. If somebody wants to try something new, we praise them. We don't push them down. If somebody, I don't know, wants to learn to drive and they've never driven in their lives, why put them down? Say, have lessons, do your theory, get yourself out there, do it, do comedy, do acting. The key is never to give up. People say, when do you think you'll get to that time where you just think, do you know what, sod acting, I'll do something else? Never. Never. Because at least on my deathbed, I can say, do you know what, I tried. And people shouldn't punish us for trying. They should embrace us for trying, for being determined, for not giving up. And it surprises me that my self-esteem is so low sometimes, because when I have moments like this, maybe it's doing this YouTube video, maybe this is helping me. I do love helping people. I really do. And because life's tough anyway, isn't it? And when I was pursuing an acting career, back in the day, I didn't have anyone to help me. And that's not a criticism. That's just the way it was. It was the 90s. I lived in a tiny little village in Buckinghamshire. The sheep were my judges. Cows were casting directors. And pigeons potentially they were fans. So, do you get pigeons in the countryside? I don't even know. Get them all city, aren't they? Okay, not pigeons. Magpies. Magpies were my fans. Yeah. But the trick of all this, not the trick, what's the word I'm looking for? The key to all of this is if we're just kind to each other, then life, no matter how hard it is in our activities, in our challenges, in our tasks, if we're kind to each other, if we support each other, if we welcome each other's new talents, old talents, whatever, that's a step in the right direction for that individual. That gives that individual motivation. Yeah, definitely. So not only be kind to others, be kind to yourself. I've always struggled with being kind to myself, in the sense I'm always worrying about money, always. I got myself into debt, and just before my 40th birthday I paid it off. But up until that point I would never treat myself. My husband was saying, treat yourself, darling, buy those earrings. No, I don't deserve to buy those earrings. I've got myself into debt. I don't deserve to buy those earrings. But now I do deserve to buy those earrings, because I paid off my debt. Whether that's to do with mental health, but when I was in debt, that was a big strain, really big strain. Yeah, I would cancel a lot of social gatherings, because I'm not a big drinker, and friends, they do the whole split the bill situation. You've had a cauliflower and a glass of water and they want to split the bill. So I just take myself out of the equation. I just wouldn't go. But that's what I mean. Rather than having a go at that person who's cancelled on going out, take into consideration, why have they cancelled? What is their story? Because my story was, I was in debt and I didn't want to talk about it. And talk. I could talk till the cows come home and leave and come home again. I really could. But I'm going to end it there. And just to summarise, talk. Don't be ashamed to be open. And be kind to others, but be kind. Be kind to yourself. And I wish you well. Bye everyone. Have a lovely day.
If you feel inspired and want to learn ways to support your mental health, please subscribe to our channel. Or you can find us at www.rootstowellbeing.org. And if you would like to get involved in future videos, please contact hello@rootstowellbeing.org. Thank you.